Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining us again.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me again.
We're really appreciative that you're taking the time to talk a little bit about the System 2 that went out into the Great Pacific Garbage Patch last year, and through the Days of Nature event that our Sky players took part in and were generous enough to donate to your cause through. It has been a great success, and we're going to get into the details of that a little bit today. So we have a few questions from our community for you on how the whole project went and what the plans are for the future. So we'll just get straight into it. The first question that we have is, what were the main things that you learned on this mission, System 2, out to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and how are those lessons going to inform the future of the project?
Oh, well, and of course, before I go into it, I also would like to thank everyone again for their support. The System 2 campaign was very successful, and we're only out there because of supporters like you all. So once again, on behalf of the Ocean Cleanup, I thank you all. And like I said, System 2 was we achieved proof of technology with System 2. So what that means is that we were able to see that this design that we brought out there is able to repeatedly extract plastic waste. And so with that, we can now confidently move on to designing System 3 that we're hoping will actually be the blueprint for a fleet of systems. So right now we've been kind of testing System 2 with the intention of developing a design that can be scaled and that is obviously effective, so proof of technology. And with that scale up, we hope to put about a dozen systems out into the GP or the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And then with that, we can actually effectively start the full cleanup of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We've seen how it performs in the water, so definitely things there that we will improve upon. We had a camera system that we used for monitoring the system and the sea life around it that we had some issues with, and of course, just various hardware mechanisms that we can now improve upon. What we also learned from System 2 is that we can make System 3 bigger, so it'll be about 3 times the size of System 2. And what that means is that then we can of course, extract more plastic. So it was, a bumpy road to get there and a lot of insights that we've needed to get along the way, but it was, one of our best cleanup. It was a testing mission, but now we can officially commence cleanup.
Amazing. So the next question that we have is from Momo Sky, and they ask, do you have any plans for approaching the Ocean Cleanup Drive nearer the junction of rivers and lakes and freshwater bodies with the seas and the ocean? Mainly garbage like plastic or industrial waste, or even nature fragments like trees and logs may come from upstream areas, so like bodies of water on higher lands. And so they then become washed up on shore and then head out to the ocean. Is there a way of preventing that stuff from getting out there before it actually reaches the Great Pacific Garbage Patch?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one we do get often. Of course, our name, the Ocean Cleanup, can be a little misleading in that we are actually taking 2 approaches to clean up the ocean. So we are working out in the garbage patches, the gyres, with our ocean design, but then we are also working in rivers. So we believe that to effectively clean up what's out in the ocean, we also have to stop it from getting out there. So what we're doing there is we've developed our interceptor technology, and we apply that to rivers throughout the world to stop the plastic from actually getting into the ocean. And again, it does also get a lot of debris, as we've learned, and we've also published papers on.
So you have a number of those interceptors actually working out in the world right now, right?
Yeah, so we have an interceptor. We're in Malaysia, Indonesia, the Dominican Republic, and Vietnam. And we are also working and researching many other countries that we aim to deploy into next year.
I think there's one due to go live just in the LA River, isn't there? Just down the road from us.
Yeah, so we have been working to bring an interceptor over there as well. Of course, with COVID complications, it's because it's been developed in Malaysia. It's been postponed many times, but indeed one of the intentions is to put one in the LA County.
Cool. Now, that's great to know that there are some interceptors in action close to many of where our fans live as well, over in Southeast Asia. So This is like a problem which kind of unifies us around the Pacific. You're over in California and over in Asia. So
yeah, it's pretty great. And what I love seeing too is the interceptors are usually they're in places where, the public can access and see. And so we get a lot of people sending us pictures, they've passed it, or, that almost make a point to stop by and see it, which we always love because we're a nonprofit foundation, but also the problem that we're trying to help solve is a problem that affects everyone. So we like people getting excited about it and showing us their enthusiasm as well.
Yeah, I suppose it's a big challenge for the charity in general is just the visibility of this problem because, it's all out in the middle of the ocean where no one can really see it.
There is an awareness that is drawn to the problem by showing its tangibility that, because people envision the Great Pacific Garbage Patch as this massive island because no one can see it, but it's actually not an island. The plastic is really widely dispersed and, but it's still very real and very there and very bad. Continually communicating about it, we indeed, try to help bring people's awareness and understanding of it.
Okay, so the next question comes from Newbie, and the question is, I see that large nets are used to get the plastic out of the ocean, but what if an endangered marine animal gets caught in that net? Is there a technology available with you to prevent this sort of situation?
So, for instance, the technology that we've designed is, it's not a fishing net. It's actually, we have worked with people in various industries to craft this very specific design. It's actually the world's worst fishing net, we would say. But what we do find and what are floating all throughout the ocean are these discarded fishing nets, or as they're called, ghost nets. There's a lot of fishing gear that ends up in the ocean through various ways. So our cleanup system can collect these, and they're pretty dangerous. Animals can become entangled in them, and they do. Like for instance, even one time when we were out there, during our operations, a ghost net got caught in the propeller of one of the massive vessels we were on, and they had to, react quickly, and it could have been very dangerous and, harmful to, the vessel itself. But for the marine life that, swim into these, they don't know how to disentangle themselves, and it can often lead to, really severe consequences or, obviously death. There are also, as we are just out in the middle of the ocean, we opportunistically will collect ghost nets as well. And there are people also, a lot of other initiatives as well that are doing this too, that will just manually be collecting ghost nets. So it's just, like the cleanup itself, it's definitely a collective effort. But it's definitely been, even for us, non-engineers, what we're constantly wanting to know how it's going because we're all a part of the mission. And when you're trying to get information from people in the middle of the ocean and, support them, it definitely has its challenges.
So the next question is about microplastics you might collect while you're out there. We've just heard about not wanting to collect big marine life. But what about the small stuff? So the question is, we all know how microplastics in the ocean end up on our food plate through fish, and it's now become a very big concern. Is there a technology that your team is working on to get microplastics out of the ocean? It would be great if the team explains about the adverse effects of these with their technological solution, something everyone's keen to know. They also say, as usual, thank you for doing this and thank you for making me part of this educational cause.
Perfect. Yeah, well, of course you're welcome. Thank you for a great question. You kind of hit the nail on the head. Indeed, these microplastics are often mistaken for food by small organisms. The organisms that eat those, and it goes up the food web, and eventually a food web that does include humans. So we are eventually eating the fish that has consumed the plastic, and sometimes it may not just be the plastic that's in the fish, but the chemicals that are on it. And we've also done a study on that as well, and found that most of the plastics that are out there in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch have a lot of chemicals that just stay on them. So that also transfers through that food web. The big plastics break down into these microplastics. The smaller they get or the further down they go, the harder they are to collect. So our system 2 can collect microplastics, and we have retrieved some or have retrieved a lot, but again, it gets increasingly more difficult the smaller they get and the further down they go. So this is why we really stress the importance to get out there and clean now, because if we can clean up these big pieces, we can prevent them from becoming the smaller pieces. And we see this with a lot of the plastic we find that's already started to deteriorate, and you see how frail and weak the plastic is. So it's, we often refer to it as a ticking time bomb. So we need to go out there and get it before it just becomes this kind of almost impossible problem that's permeating all of the water.
Great, thanks, Rachel. And the next question we have is from Nasty Mold. And they ask what the most significant change is that you've seen so far. I think this could either be in the ocean or in the project as it's gone forward.
Yeah. So I have two ways of thinking about it, of course. So we've always felt this sense of urgency, but it is definitely something that we're seeing as it's really hard. And and not in a way that's defeating, but in a way that, we don't take this lightly. And, it almost even more is a testament to the determination and perseverance of everyone behind the project, that this isn't something that's as easy as, sweep it up and you're done. The ocean's a volatile place, and we're developing a technology that's never, been developed before. Boyan's even said this. In the beginning, he had a naivete about it, that maybe it was easier than he really understood. And he's even said, like, if I had known how hard it was, I might not have started. So, it's good to have that, kind of blind faith in the beginning. But of course, we continue to learn and publish research papers and really try to understand the problem, the urgency for it, and why we just really need to keep doing this.
Well, thanks. I suppose as the gravity of the situation has sort of like grown in your view and experience, it must be at the same time, challenging and a bit overwhelming to see how much there is to do, but that's also more evidence for just how important it is, that something be done about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with any of these, great challenges we faced for humanity, whenever people see how hard it is, they typically don't back down from it. The whole reason they started is they want to solve the problem. And so, I think, and it's always to me, it's if you have the right group of people behind it, then almost anything's possible. And we really do have a great group of people and supporters working behind the project, just again, that like resolute and determination just to keep going, that it makes me continually proud to be a part of the organization and to be a supporter of the organization. It's pretty great.
So the next question from Nasty Mold is, in your opinion, so it's a bit more of a fun one. In your opinion, what's the most bizarre piece of trash that you found?
Yeah, we have found an array of crazy things, and we actually Boyan did a tour of the debris just from this last campaign. Whenever we brought the plastic back on shore. And to me, and perhaps it's not strange, we found refrigerators, we found wheels of I think a helicopter and golf balls and all sorts of stuff. But to me, I think the craziest thing is always, there are two things, the children's toys. So these cute little playthings. So we found, just little toy cars or a princess tiara. And we find these in the middle of the ocean, and something that was once a fun thing for someone is now this potentially really harmful piece of plastic that's just floating through the ocean. So that it's always very kind of alarming to think of that. And then as well, the kind of normal household things or things that we use on a daily basis, toothbrushes or containers for laundry detergent, things that I use myself. So it's also a little confronting to see that. It makes me even more aware of my own consumption, because once we're done with the stuff that we use so regularly and repetitiously, goes what we think we recycle it. And I think often we all try to do that, but you still see this out there, and so it even more makes me want to be smarter and more efficient with all my plastic usage.
Okay, thank you. And our final question for today is, with all your experience so far and all the ups and downs and the success of System 2 this year, do you feel confident that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch can be cleaned up? And what are the major milestones ahead for achieving that goal?
Well, personally, I do feel confident that it can be and will be cleaned up. Not just because, well, partially because, System 2, we did achieve proof of technology. So with that, we'll be able to design System 3 and then work up to the blueprint for a fleet of systems. So I do believe that it's definitely possible. And I think kind of what I touched on earlier, it is having the right people behind the mission. So the team at the Ocean Cleanup is incredible. They're some of the most passionate and determined people I've had the privilege to work with. And they're, every setback is just, more fuel to go further. And not just the people working there, but then the supporters, everyone at Sky and everyone who every day donates from, $5 to, thousands and millions. It's all of that. It's that collective, we're all like charging towards this problem together. So I do. And this is also what the Ocean Cleanup, Boyan himself said it when we had our proof of technology press conference. We're really confident that this is the way to do it, and we'll keep improving. But from here on out, we do believe that every time we go out, we're going to clean more, and it's the beginning of the end for the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Making sure that System 3 is the one that can be the blueprint, and then getting that fleet out there. And then, of course, to get a fleet out there, we will need the funding to do that as well. So I think it's really just working towards that fleet. And once we do have, I think, System 3 out there, and then we get to that point where we have the full fleet, those will be two very major milestones for the Ocean Cleanup.
And we're really excited to keep working with you guys and do Days of Nature Part 2 with the Ocean Cleanup next year, and contribute to System 3 and the ongoing project. And we're really excited to collaborate in the long term and actually follow this story, this like super ambitious, altruistic movement that you have going to address this incredibly serious problem that affects all of us, and particularly the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, this challenge that unifies all of us around the Pacific Rim, from where the game's made over in California through to our players over in Asia. So thanks so much for taking the time to talk through this with us, Rachel, and thank you so much to all the players as well for your continued dedication to this cause and attention. And do you have any final words to leave us with, Rachel? Thanks again to you and to the entire team, for Sky, who worked together to start this, to support us, and then everyone who did support us. It's been really amazing to see, and it makes me very proud. And so thank you all for your continued support and consideration. And I think kind of just always extending gratitude. So thank you all very much.